All right. Well, thank you all for coming today. I'm Mary Beth Eichert. I'm Communications Director for Mayor Tim Kelly in the City of Chattanooga. A little about our run of show. We'll hear from the mayor, then our City Administrator for Community Development, Tony Salmons, and then we'll hear from Signal Centers about services that they'll be offering in our community centers. So, and I have a fact sheet for anybody who needs one, and I'll be available to help with any follow-up questions. So I'll turn it over to Mayor Kelly.
Thank you, Mary Beth. I think I apologize in advance to the media because it's probably going to sound pretty loud because I'm going to have to kind of project. But thanks for all being out here today. Thanks to whoever ordered the weather. This is lovely. I want to acknowledge Donna McConaughey, obviously the CEO of Signal Centers, who's here today, and Councilwoman Dotley, I see, is here, and Coonrod, and Councilman Ledford and Hester. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming out. Decades of research tell us that the earliest part of a child's life is the most critical to their future. Starting off on the right foot can affect all of us well into adulthood, and many of our social, emotional, and intellectual skills are developed during our first few years on the planet. Indeed, 90% of the brain develops between the ages of 0 and 5. We also know that if children aren't reading at third grade level by the third grade, it's a strong indicator for whether or not they're going to finish school or become involved in the criminal justice system. Conversely, if they are, it's a great sign that they're going to be well on their way to being productive adults. The reality, though, is that these predictors for a child's success in school and in life start at birth and before. In other words, long before the bread stage. The things that happen or don't happen in our first 5 years of life have a tremendous impact on how we spend the rest of our lives. By focusing our programs and investments on young children, we as a city in Chattanooga have the potential to help break the violence of multi-generational poverty, prevent violence in our neighborhoods, and ensure that young people are prepared for school and for the workplace, and even embrace a lifelong love of learning. But right here in our own city, currently, 1 of 4 children are living and growing up in poverty. If we want every child here to have the brightest possible future, we must connect them with the developmental resources they need at the earliest possible age. It is the single most important thing we can do for our children and for Chattanooga's future. By making a deeper and fuller commitment to strong starts in early childhood, we can ensure that young people entering our school system are able to progress on grade level. And this can have far-reaching consequences in these students' lives and strengthen our local workforce as well. And that's why today we're announcing a robust partnership between the city's Department of Community Development and Signal Centers, led by Donna, to bring programming directly into our community centers that will support new parents, babies, and toddlers. This collaboration with Signal Centers builds upon already established and great work with new parents and children ages 0 to 5, but Family Forward is about reimagining these programs to make them even more accessible to those who need it most through a public-private partnership with the Department of Community Development. Miraculous, a microphone. So we at the city are very, very excited for our community centers to become the front door for these critical services for new parents. We talked about this a lot during the campaign, and we are intent upon making community centers more useful and productive to the communities they serve. So this is a great step in that direction. So I'll turn it over now to Tony Salmons, our Administrator for Community Development, to talk a little more about that. Come on up, Tony.
Thank you, Mayor. Not trying to be redundant, however, we are all working towards the goal that Mayor Kelly has set for this administration of having one Chattanooga. In order to do that, we are focused and will be working diligently with partners throughout our community area to ensure that we're providing the services and programs, especially in our community areas that are underserved. Our community centers are going to be the hub in our neighborhoods. In order for us to achieve the goal of one Chattanooga, we have to be able to provide the resources that are needed for our citizens throughout our communities. So we are excited about this collaboration with Signal Centers, and we're going to do our very best to help provide them the footprint they need to have the programming, that is robust and that will be serving much needed families in our communities throughout Chattanooga. And to talk about these programs in more detail, I'm going to pass it on to Ms. Donna.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Mayor Kelly's One Chattanooga plan, it builds on practical ways to build a better Chattanooga for every resident of our city. And I think there's no more critical time in a family's life than when a baby is born. And so Family Forward works to ensure that every expectant mom enrolled in the program has access to high-quality prenatal care, which builds a strong foundation for a healthy start to life. And then once the baby is born and they arrive, we all know how exciting that is, there are important developmental milestones to be met. And we utilize a evidence-informed model and have an external evaluation that kind of measures the progress of each child. So we have a rigorous assessment process to make sure folks are on track and then provide them with interventions that helps families succeed. But Family Forward has an amazing impact on families. I mean, if you could think about when you had a child, that's a turning point in life. And it's a point when you're open. I needed family around me. I needed community around me. You know, one of the popes once said this: the family is the first essential cell of human society. And when you think about if we can build strong families and give families the resources they need to succeed, our communities are going to be stronger too. And that's what this partnership is about. We're expanding the services. We're going to offer things like fatherhood initiatives within the community centers. We're also going to be having some car seat events. We're going to do everything we can to strengthen the whole community, especially around these earliest years of life. So building strong families, it will build strong communities. And knowing that somebody has their backs, the city and the social services in our community, will make families stronger and help them succeed as they go through life. I wanted to ask if there are any questions for the mayor or Tony or I. Mary Beth?
I have questions for.
Could you go maybe a little bit more in depth about the plan, about like what, where you plan to set this up at, and kind of places you plan to target?
I can sure talk about that. We're looking towards mainly 4 of the community centers where we want to embed more services. One is Southside, one is Avondale, one is Eastlake, and one is Brainerd. We already have partnerships at Howard High School and at Brainerd High School where we work with students who are pregnant. And the national average for graduating pregnant students or parenting students is 53%. When the program was Baby U over the past 5 years, and now as we're kind of morphing that into more of a community-based program, we've had a success rate of 93% graduation. And that's what we want to build on. We also have been able to, and we hope to expand this as we move into community centers. We hope to expand the participation in post-secondary education, because we all know you need more than a high school diploma in order to be able to provide effectively for a family. So there are things like education, but there's also health and well-being. And I'm happy to say that during 2021, Family Forward, all of the families enrolled, no one went homeless. We were able to provide them the resources, whether that was emergency assistance or help with diapers. Family Forward delivered over 100,000 diapers into the homes of our participants this past year, because those were commodities that were essential when you have a young child. So it's concrete supports, but also social emotional supports, mental health supports, and employment. We've helped over 100 families find employment. So the idea is that we're moving people, we're having their backs at the most critical crisis times, and then we're moving them towards independence and self-sufficiency. And that is exactly what Mayor Kelly has laid out with his One Chattanooga plan. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish in the community centers as well. I think we all do better when we work together closely, when we're partners with each other. Thanks. Great question.
I would just add, because Donna's probably not going to say it, but Chattanooga is incredibly fortunate to have Donna and the Signal Centers here. They do work in this area for agencies all across the state, so they are a fantastic resource for Chattanooga. And again, I think, as Donna said so eloquently, this is precisely what we intend to do with community centers, and how we intend to work with the private and the nonprofit community to make Chattanooga a better place.
And today is Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, that's right.
And all of the funds given, I'm an executive director, I'm always raising money. but all of the funds donated to Signal Centers today will go into this program, Family Forward, to make sure that these services are available to everyone in Chattanooga who needs them. Thank you.